Hey, you go crazy.
So when you pitch it to 50 Cent, what you gonna tell him?
Good question. I honestly think that anybody involved in this project, you got to be tough.
Yeah.
You got to be like Jeff. You know what I'm saying? You just can't be fearful or anything like that. I see 50 Cent as that type of nigga. He just, to me, come across like, we know he had the paper, you know, he got the money, whatever. Right. But he seemed like the type, he ain't gonna let nobody back him down. If he see my receipts and see, damn, she really did go through this shit. He don't seem like the type that would sell me out. That's why I like him. Yeah. He seemed like he just a real nigga. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one more thing about the police though, right? Are those persons that you had interaction with back then still working for Chicago police now?
Most of them have retired or passed away. I like the Clifton guy. He would still have been there because he just got arrested, you know, not too long ago, and they let him, you know, they got him off the police department. I would be interested to know if he was still able to keep his pension though, which I think would be terrible. Why should why should he still get the benefit of that, having committed all of those crimes and everything, but then they take mine away and I never committed a crime. Right. And remember, the reasoning for firing me was because I was married to a person that had a felony, conduct unbecoming. And you're gonna strip me of everything, but you leave this guy, he's your bag guy, your bag, B-A-G, collecting your money or whatever. You leave him still to do his dirt, and you're going to reward him with a pension. If that's the case, even after he's committed these violent crimes against these women, somebody should start looking at all of that. It's just unacceptable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This is crazy because I never heard nothing like this before.
I know. That's why this is a story that it had to come back to Chicago, because you gotta understand Chicago to understand what I'm talking about. And so, you know, I have pitched my idea, my script and everything for California, but this is a Chicago story. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Chicago story. Yeah. Yeah.
So you said they used to call 71st and Parnell P Street?
P Street. Okay. P Street. So that's where I grew up at. Yeah. It's a building, 7000 South Parnell. And that's where we grew up. And like I say, I love Chicago. I love Inglewood. It was so much fun when I was growing up. I would never have known that I would be a police officer there. Even the grammar school that I went to, from kindergarten up to 6th grade, was right on my beat. Right. And so every day I got a chance to patrol the area where I went to school and, you know, make sure kids weren't ditching school and different things like that. And that just gave me so much, it was just comforting and just a sense of community, you know.
So connection. You basically knew all the people that...
I knew them. That's the whole... That's why, with them, right? Yeah, that's why I'm in this situation, because people knew me and they trusted me. The community trusted me, and so they gave me their information, so that they wasn't a snitch. Right. They gave it to me, and you know, most of them wanted me to deal with it. Miss Curtis was the lady that was like, "Don't say nothing, you know, don't say anything." But for the most part, people wanted the stuff, you know, handled, managed. Right. Yeah. Right.
Well, this is, like I said, it's quite the story. So, but tell us, how did you move forward though? Afterwards, you know, you end up having to relocate.
Yeah, I felt like I had to leave this area or whatever, because I just needed to get my head space right. I'm a new mom because I had my daughter. a year after the shootout. Right. And so I didn't want to be depressed and everything like that, because it was just going through what I went through. I didn't feel comfortable moving in Chicago because I wasn't able to carry a gun anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was still under the threat of retribution from possibly Michael Clifton or whoever else was involved in it, because I gave up a lot of information. You know, it's a lot of information that was provided, video evidence, all of that kind of stuff. And so I didn't know what somebody else would plan or whatever. Right. Even when Michael Clifton was picked up and those videos were out with him running from the reporters and everything, mm-hmm. It got back to me that I should not speak on it. I should just, my shit didn't happen, leave it alone or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck that. And don't be fucking threatening me. Mm-hmm. And so even now, I just honestly believe that I just can't be silent no more. I've been silent too long. Right. And my silence allows this culture, yep. this environment to thrive. Yep. And so I'm speaking up.
Yep.
And
and I'm glad you're speaking up, because too much of this be swept under the rug.
Yep, it's been under that rug too long. It's time to lift it up, package it up, put it out there. Mm-hmm. It's the truth. Mm-hmm. Yep. And
what they say, the truth always come to light. What's done in the dark will always come to light.
Yes.
That's what they say.
And then with this, it's an old story, but it's still fresh to me. Because it's my life.
And this type of stuff is obviously still occurring.
And it's still occurring, yes. But the devaluation of females in law enforcement, because if that's the pattern that's going on, you taking these women, y'all taking them out, if that's the pattern that's going on, somebody got to deal with that. I know I was personally devalued. My life didn't have any value. And that became obvious to me from the day that a gangbanger reports to my supervisor, my immediate supervisor, that there's a hit, and he calls me, that supervisor calls me, tells me about it, the citizen gangbanger walks up, he reiterates the story or whatever. They let my sergeant tell me, go to the station, you could take the rest of the day off. I'm like, okay. Wow, they taking this serious. That's what I thought right then and there. I'm like,
the next day you say they put you
then
up.
The next day I come in, I look at the schedule, 7:32. You got me 99, which means by myself, back on that same beat, P Street. Let's just call it P Street. Back going to P Street, by myself. And I'm thinking when I got in that day that they was going to say, oh, you working inside. You going to be on the desk. And that was just so hurtful to me. And so then when I went back and asked them, they were like, get your ass back out there. Mm. Yeah. So I can speak personally to being devalued. And I feel like the police department owe me, the Chicago Police Department being specific, owe me an apology for that. Now, moving forward, when I decided to leave, I just started all over. I started from scratch. I worked my way up through the phone company. I became a certified project manager. I became a manager, high-level manager. I managed a repair garage for the phone company. I had like 75 people sometimes that would be under my direct supervision. And then from there, I just began to just pursue my individual business concerns and things like that. And I just opened up my own thing, did my own thing. But then when I moved to my current location, I started out with their local police department. And I'm in Houston. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm in Houston, and I went and tried to get on the Houston Police Department, but I had just missed the cutoff age. It was 44, and I had just turned 45 when I got down there. And so I ended up working as a police service officer. It's way down the chain. $11 an hour, virtually pushing a mail cart through the station or whatever. And the officers there, 50-50 half of them were decent, half of them were assholes or whatever. But I remember that an officer that knew my story, he don't come to me in a real insulting way, like because of the job that I was performing. I had to check in people that were coming to a community event because I still was working community kind of related stuff down in Houston. And so he said, I need you to check these people in. He said, you're going to check off their last names, you know, like A, B, C, D.
He talked to you like you slow.
Yeah. Like I got to look at the sheet, find their last name. It's organized A, B, C, D. I guess that made him feel good, you know, to try to put me down like that or whatever. It just stupid shit.
Right.
And so I put up with a lot of disrespect from other officers and everything because of the shit that the Chicago Police Department put out there. I had to deal with the fallout from it. People just weren't respecting me. And I didn't like that. Like I say, at the end of the day, what I would like is a formal apology and some kind of compensation.
And a bag.
And a bag. Yep. And a bag. I never gave up hope on the bag. I just could never find an attorney that had the balls to take on the Chicago Police Department. Most of these motherfuckers and everything, they all in cahoots because, like, not only was the corruption, like I say, all the way to IAD, but now you got to branch it off to the courts and attorneys and all of that shit too. So, you know, it's just like whatever they want to do, they pretty much gonna do. And so if they ain't gonna be your ride or die and try to help you out, that's just not gonna help. But the Fraternal Order of Police, they had my back. I really appreciate them. I believe that they operated in such a level of integrity. I have to, you know, say thank you for that. Because they could have went along with this bullshit like everybody else did. They was the only ones that did stand by me and did what was right. Yeah. Fraternal Order of Police, the FOP. They weren't corrupted by all of this stuff. They were aware prior to my shootout of the danger that I was in because I kept going to them saying that the police department has me working in the same area and I need to be inside or reassigned and things like that. And so they were trying to help me with that. And they were aware of my story. So when it all popped off, they were like, you know, nah, you ain't doing this shit. You know, we got to help this officer. Yeah.
Remember your days when they used to call you Gladiator?
Oh, yeah, I remember them days. I earned that name, though. I just was determined I wasn't going to let nobody beat my ass. I was little. You know, I'm still little.
So did you get into a lot of fights?
Yeah. Man, I done had hundreds of fights.
Really?
Yeah. And then I used to have to tell the officers that when we would be out there, and this was years before all of this stuff happened, like if I'm right in it, and I'm beating the nigga ass or whatever, don't be behind me trying to pull me off, because I've injured officers because they would come trying to break it up. You know, don't touch me when I'm in my zone. Let me deal with what I'm dealing with. But yeah, I used to beat a nigga ass in a minute or whatever because it was going to either be them or me. And I wasn't letting nobody beat my ass. That was how it was. We ain't pull guns on people like how these coward cops be doing and stuff like that. We used to just scrap, you know, and then we go in the station, everybody, you know, talking or whatever, and it's cool. It wasn't never none of that. Instantly just pull a gun on a person, they ain't even did nothing, and you just pulling your gat out on them right away. We never did that stuff. The training that I received back then, I think it was way better than this stuff that they've given these officers now. Yeah, and we didn't even have tasers. They weren't even invented when I was a cop.
What was the training process like?
It was a thorough training. You know, they trained you on the use of force. You had classroom training. You had physical training. You had to go through different psychological kind of evaluations and things like that. You had to know the law, and that was a big part of it. It's just knowing the law, things like that. And so the physical training was really hard because they didn't make a separation between women training and men training. We had to all be trained together, you know, and you just had to fight. Yep. You just had to fight and do whatever you know, had to do to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you ever in a situation where you had to use your weapon? As an officer?
I've been in situations where I had to pull my weapon out, and fortunately, I didn't have to fire it. But then I was involved in that shootout.
Right.
But yeah, I would have to pull my weapon out sometimes because you know you gonna run into them situations or whatever. Yeah. And I remember one time my partner and I had pulled a man over, and he was drunk, and we were wrestling with him, and he had a gun. But we were able to take it from him before it escalated, you know, to anything like that. And then I remember sometimes too, being a woman having to work with older men. I remember I was with a field training officer, and that's when you first come out the academy and they have you with an older person and they, you know, trying to show you the ropes. And so we had pulled over a person in a Camaro, a little small kind of compact car. And I was searching the car, and my training officer told me to go in there and search, looking for drugs, guns, any paraphernalia, things like that. And he allowed the person that was the driver of the car to walk up on me while I was in the car searching on my hands and knees. Mm-hmm. And I catch sight that this nigga walking up on me and everything like that. So I got into it with my field training officer. And that was early in my career, like when I first was assigned to that unit. And I think because I had the balls to speak up for myself, it kind of blackballed me with the white officers or whatever initially because I spoke up for myself. I guess in their eyes, I was supposed to just take that shit. But I'm not going to be in a car searching and got my gun where this person can, you know, attack me from the back or whatever. And as an officer, you're supposed to be watching the other officers' back. And that shit just wasn't happening. Yeah. And so I think that set a course for a lot of the Caucasian officers at my district to just kind of like have a little beef with me or whatever. Okay. Yeah.
Do you think a lot of men on the job were intimidated by you?
Not to the sense where I'm making myself prideful or anything like that, but I think that they were intimidated by my strength and by my intelligence. Okay. I think that.
'Cause you was a bodybuilder.
Yeah, no, I was a bodybuilder. I was in shape. I was in.
So you was walking around. You was looking good.
I was a bad bitch. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. I was a bad bitch. I had my stuff together, and like I had guns. You know how? Yeah. Guns, all of that stuff.
So I imagine if a nigga couldn't get with you, he was hating on you. You know.
The women
hating on the nigga that was with you.
Yeah, the women were hating on me. The men, you know, were hating on me. And see, I wasn't that type of chick that would fuck her way through the police department, even though I could have. That just wasn't me. Now, I might deal with my coworkers or whatever, but I just wasn't the type that was just going to make my advance in the department based off of screwing niggas and stuff. That just wasn't me. And so I had beef with a lot of other women that was doing that because that was common. Yeah, people come in and, you know, a woman come in and that's how she gonna get up. But I wasn't like that. I was just a basic beat cop. Yeah.
So it was drama in that workspace just like any other?
It was. I remember the first time that I realized that the police department could do anything it wanted to do. When I was a young officer, maybe 2-3 years in, I got assigned to the tactical unit. I had broken my leg and I was working there as the secretary. And so it was pretty much all male unit, and I was the secretary. So when I started working there, I would come in and they would have these Playboy books all on my desk, you know, showing women's private parts and all that kind of stuff, just inappropriate things. And it would be on my desk and they would think it would be funny, you know, putting all this sex stuff on my desk. So I made a complaint about it. So they found out that I complained about it because I complained to the EEOC because, like, if something got to a point where I had to start complaining, remember I document everything. So they found out that I did that. So they really started bothering me. So these two white tactical officers, we're gonna call them rock and roll, they began to call my home, leaving voicemails, calling me a cunt and a bitch and all of that kind of stuff. This is my first official report to the police department about being harassed. And I had the recordings, because back then it was a company that kept the recordings of the voicemails.
Okay.
So I make the police report. They're going to use the evidence of these voicemails, as part of my case. All of a sudden, we can't find your voicemails.
Mm.
They wiped them away.
Mm.
And that's how I first discovered
They could do anything.
They could do anything that they want to do. And it was just like pretty much after that, I just had to watch how I moved through the department or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I was on a roll just before all of this happened, because I was ready to be promoted to be a sergeant. And I honestly believe that with my intelligence and my skill set and my people skills, that if I had been allowed to remain on the police department unscathed by all of this, that I would have been, up in the higher rankings and things like that of the Chicago Police Department. Mm-hmm. I just feel like that was a possibility for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we put this movie together, who you want to be playing you?
My daughter. You know how 50 did with Big Meech and his son?
Because y'all look just alike.
Because we look just alike. And my daughter, she good. Yeah, she
I
good.
can see that.
Yeah. But yeah, we had talked about that. That's why I really would love to be able to just discuss it, even consult with 50 on how to manage this going forward, because it's a lot. And I don't want to move being naive with all of this stuff. Because, okay, what do I need to be preparing for when I leave here? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Now, like I say, I'm almost 60. I'm not walking in no fear. Mm-mm. If the Chicago Police Department trying to come and retaliate because I spoke about my stuff, which is real, which is true, which is documented, it's not no lie. If they want to try to come after me, it's like, whatever. But I'm not going to be living in no fear, living in the shadows or anything like that. They done just took so much away from me, because I'm not the same person that I used to be when I first joined the police department. I was just vibrant and just full of life and everything like that. But having to deal with this, it make you where you just can't trust nobody. It don't matter if they're white or black. It be grimy niggas be coming, trying to see what's going on and all that kind of stuff. So you just got to always have your guards up. And that's why even when this project goes forward, I just want to make sure that the right people are involved. And this is going to take some strong men and women that are not afraid of the Chicago Police Department system. They're not afraid of that system, because it's going to try to fuck you up, But I survived it. I'm victorious over that. And I don't really know of any other women that have survived an attack from the Chicago Police Department and can come 26 years later with her receipts. I don't see no competition, out there on somebody with my story, because I survived it and it's real. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
What I like about your story the most is life comes at you fast.
Yeah.
It seems like one thing led to another, and it just escalated so quickly.
It did. I wouldn't. So back to our original conversation. Would I, if I had it to do over, would I do it again? Mm-mm. Hell no.
It's your story.
I couldn't see wisdom in that. Mm-hmm. You know what the saddest part of this thing is? I went and drove back over there on Parnell, over there where I was, my beat and all that kind of stuff, ain't shit improved.
It looked the same.
It looked the same. It looked the same.
You drove back through that today? I mean, like since you've been in Chicago?
It just,
wow.
It's sad when you almost gave your life trying to help and it didn't help. It didn't do anything. Yep, it didn't do anything. And like I say, all of the people I reported the stuff to, I got fired for conduct unbecoming. The FBI guy that I was supposed to meet with came to my hearing, but he gave one of them classic generic responses. Well, it was early in the investigation, and so we never had any opportunity to confirm or discuss anything with her because of the shootout. So he never...
One of them politically
correct answers and everything like that. But I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I did something that I can stand on, but me doing it again, hell no.
Right.
Hell no. Because I lost houses, cars, career. Like I say, I was getting ready to be a, getting ready to be a sergeant. And I lost that opportunity. And I was upset about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the young ladies that's watching, or even young men as well, there's somebody watching that's interested in becoming Chicago police. What's some advice you could give to them?
Wow. Well, go in, if that's your passion, pursue it, because we do need representation from us. Pursue it, but go in with the full understanding of what you're dealing with. Don't let them brainwash you and convince you that they're going to always have your back. It's a brotherhood and all that kind of stuff. And if it's shit going on that you don't want to be a part to, don't be a part to it. You should still be able to have your own conscience rule you when you're doing, your work every day. And we see it all too many times. These old bad cops doing stuff to people that they shouldn't be doing, and it's other police officers standing right there and don't intervene. And so, don't be that follower. Set your own path and know that it's corruption out there. But shoot, if I was younger, because I'm almost 60, I'll be 60 in November. Okay. If I was a younger woman and was still in law enforcement, man, I would love to have come back and figured out some kind of way to revamp that community policing, because it's something missing. It's a huge part of this is missing, and that's that contact and connection and communication between the public and the police. And part of that is because they're in the car. It's easy to patrol, from your car, but you get your ass out there walking that foot patrol, And people, like when we were asked to do it, I did it because I liked it. But a lot of the police officers was bucking against it.
And it's very rare to see police on foot nowadays.
Yeah, but the people knew me.
Very rare.
They knew me by my name or Mary J or whatever. And so they used to say, we see her all the time. And we don't see nobody else, And so the other officers would get mad. But, that's on them. I got out the car. I didn't take the flyers that we were supposed to hand out to the citizens and put them in the trunk of my car, and after the shift, throw them in the garbage can. I didn't do that. I gave them out. Yeah.
Aside from your story and aside from Chicago police, at the end of the day, you are a woman with a family, and as you mentioned, you've been having health issues as you're getting older. So before you leave, can you just leave with us some of the most valuable things you've learned throughout the years? Not just pertaining to the situation, but throughout life.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I learned is pursue your dreams. Don't be fearful of doing what it is you feel in your heart you were called to do. And I'm speaking towards my decision to delay law school it's been delayed a long time. And then when I finally did go to law school, I got sick and I'm on a medical leave. But I would tell people, pursue your dreams. And then another thing that I teach people that I mentor is, if you having problems figuring out what it is you were put on this earth to do, dig deep in yourself and look for a problem that you can easily solve, but somebody else had to pay to get that problem solved. I solve hard problems for a living. I do immigration, one of the hardest areas of law. I solve hard problems. That's why I make a lot of money. Because the problem that they bring to me, they can't solve it. Solving a food problem, being a fast food worker, that's why you don't make a lot of money. But solving a medical problem, that's a hard problem. You specialize, that's why you make money. So my advice is to find the problem that you can solve naturally, easy. You breathe the answer. Then you know you're on the right path to your destiny.
Oh, I like that.
That's
I like
good.
that a lot.
That's good. I see your face all day.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yep. But that's been the biggest, I think that's been the biggest thing that has helped people that I've mentored is for them to figure out what it is they were placed on this planet to do. And so I know that I'm a motivational speaker. I can do law naturally. It's just, even when I was little, I always wanted to be a lawyer or a judge. Law for me just come easy. How I knew what to tell the judge in the courtroom, how I knew what to, how to handle all these other little things and everything, how I was directing what was going on, in terms of the legal things with the cases that they were trying to bring against me. But that's because it's a natural gift. Yeah. And so people call me, it's a hard problem. I know how to solve it, you're going to pay. Yeah.
Well, Rawanda, thanks again.
I'm so glad I was able to come get my story out.
Came.
Hey, 50.
Shout out to the Beard Boss for sponsoring this episode. Fellas, shop with the Beard Boss. Use DJUTV as the promo code. That's how you get 20% off. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to Royalty Productions. I think this is a classic. What you think, Rawanda?
Man, I think you about to blow up. Yeah, you about to blow up.
DJ, you go crazy.